Hey guys, it's Rahul here. I'm audible to all of you guys. Am I audible? Can you use the chat window and confirm? All right, cool. Okay, so welcome to the session, and I hope all of you guys are doing good. Corona is increasing and things are worse, but yeah, at the same time, we have to be positive. Stay safe, stay at home. So let's get started. So today the agenda. So we have 3 days session. Today we are going to talk about some topics. Tomorrow some topics, and day after some topics as well. Now the data is growing day by day, and companies are looking for a lot of analysis from the data set. And for that, we need a lot of skill sets, and which are very much in demand. So I'm coming from with the experience of around 14 plus years now. I worked for Accenture. I started my journey with Accenture. My name is Rahul Tiwari. I work for Capgemini. I worked for Tech Mahindra. And I work for Deloitte. One of the startups, Rawmind. Started some of my startups during the COVID period. So did not work well, but now again working in some of the new startup. I'm one of the founders there and getting some consulting project on data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and many more. So in this particular session, we are going to talk about how this growing technologies, right? The new technologies which we have is gonna help us. How you are, if you are a non-technical background, coming from non-technical background, how it will help you. Again, I am coming from non-technical background, so I did my engineering from NIT Surat. I was a civil engineer, but after that I went into IT, and then I am now working into IT full-fledged. So what is the possibilities, right? If you are coming from different backgrounds, how will data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analytics will help you? So as I mentioned, that data is growing day by day, and we need someone to analyze the data and also come up with the output from that data. When I was working for Deloitte, there was a client which is on the life sciences, basically creating the drugs. So they got the data from various different data sources, and which they were not looking for as of now, but they captured the data so that in future, if they require, they can very well use that, right? So basically, they capture the data, they put that in the data lake, and then as and when required, they are using that data and processing it, and then trying to get the insights from it. And all these things are happening because of two reasons. One is the computational power which I have now, which earlier it was not there, right? That is one of the key reasons for getting into this world. Second is obviously my data storage, right? So when I was a kid, I used to store the projects in the floppies, but now we have like storage in the cloud, and you can just purchase Google Drive, 130 rupees per month, and you will get a huge amount of data storage. Amazon Web Services, S3 buckets, and a lot many things, right? So companies get these these flexibility now because of the computation power and data storage. So they are capturing the data from various different what do you say, various different locations, and they are using it. Before I jump to the technical aspect of some of the concepts, I also want to like again, I always like to share some of the information with my students so that they can be motivated. So I'll share one of the reasons. If you are looking into this, right, I see around 176 students joining this session. That means you have some passion on that. So I'll just show you data science jobs. Some of the articles you can see, like this one. This is one of the jobs, and this is the one of the articles. And there is one more article, two articles I'll show you. First article says data science jobs pay Zoom as digital landscape. I will read just few lines. Data science professionals with 3 to 10 years of experience get annual salaries of 25 lakhs to 65 lakhs, while those with more experience can command pay package upwards up to 1 crore, right? Highly motivational article. Second, this one, last November this came in. Nearly 1 lakh data science job vacant in India. Right, so these two articles again motivates everyone, and there is a reason to it. Companies are growing, they are capturing the data, they want to analyze the data, they need a proper skill set, but they don't have proper skill set. They need people who know the end-to-end understanding of it. There are a lot many people who are just saying that they are data scientists, but they don't know the mathematics behind it. So they need a proper professionals who can solve the problems. So that is why there is a very much gap in the demand and supply, and that people are looking for. Every day in LinkedIn, I get a lot many opportunities of director, data scientist, director, and so on. Lot many students of mine placed who are like, as a fresher, they are getting good pay package because they have knowledge now. Right, so that is what the benefit you will get, definitely. So, and again, one more thing people ask, that I am not coming from technical background. What is my scope? Will I able to capture? Will I able to grasp? Will I able to do well in the field? See, it's a innovation. Data science is like innovation where people are contributing. It's not that whether you are coming from technical background or whether you are coming from non-technical background. It is just how well you can able to contribute in this field. Right, so definitely there is a scope, no doubt about that. It is just you should be passionate about these things. If not, then obviously no point. So now data science, let's get into this. Data is growing day by day. I'll again write some notes. So let's say data science is a big umbrella. Right, this big umbrella can be solved using machine learning, using AI or deep learning. Right, so basically data science is a field where we are dealing with the data. Using machine learning, we are applying some statistical knowledge, mathematical knowledge. Using AI, we are applying some linear algebra type of knowledge, and deep learning also. So basically data science problem can be solved using these techniques. Now if I talk about machine learning, there are 3 broad classification of machine learning, and I'll explain what machine learning is and some of the use cases, and then we'll see some mathematics behind it. So basically machine learning are of 3 types, 3 classified into 3 broad categories. One is supervised machine learning. Second is unsupervised machine learning. And the third is reinforcement machine learning, right? In this particular 3-day sessions, we are going to talk about, today we are going to talk about in supervised. There are two further segregation. One is regression, which we are going to discuss today. Second is classification, which we are going to discuss tomorrow. And then day after, we are going to discuss about one of the techniques using unsupervised machine learning, which is nothing but clustering. The algorithm which I was thinking is k-means to talk about. In regression, we are going to discuss about linear regression today. In classification, I think tomorrow we will discuss one of the algorithms. I think we are covering k nearest neighbor. I'll check that in the curriculum. Right, so we'll today concentrate only on the regression. I'll talk about classification tomorrow. I don't want to spend much time on this because we have only 1 hour. Tomorrow you can join, you can discuss, we will discuss classification, and day after we can discuss clustering. So basically, let's say where regression can be used and what regression means. Let's say I am having one, I'm having one car. Okay, I have one car. I purchased one car, and my requirement is that I want to sell this car. I already use this car, and I already I'm thinking of purchasing a new car because I have some funds and I want, or my family wants, a big car now. So in that case, I don't want this one. I want to just sell it. If you guys seeing a lot of websites like cardeco.com and whatnot, right? There are different types of portal where people are selling the second-hand car as well, and they are giving some amount. Let's say my car is Maruti 800 Alto. Which I purchased maybe in 3.5 lakhs. Okay. And I used this car for 5 years. Now I want to sell this car. Let's say I will try to sell this car in 5 lakhs. Will anyone purchase this? No. So obviously no one will. They will purchase the new car altogether. Why they will purchase this? Second is, okay, maybe I can reduce the cost. Let's say I'm saying 3 lakhs. Still no one would like to purchase because it's a 5-year-old car. So 5-year-old car is one of the features, right, which is actually impacting my price. If I ignore this, I'll say, okay, I will not tell you. I will not tell you what is the, how many year old my car is. If I will not tell you. And my car condition is very nice. Right? Then obviously you may purchase this in 3 lakhs. You will say, okay, car is looking good and I'm getting 50,000 less. Let's purchase that. But as and when I tell you that, okay, my car is 5-year-old, this cost you will try to negotiate. That means car price is one of the factor, a car year, number of year old car is one of the factors which is impacting my car price. Okay, so let's say after I'm understanding, okay, 5 years is the old car, I'll give you in 2 lakhs. And let's say my customer is ready to purchase in 2 lakhs. Now I tell them, okay, this car is an accidental car. I had an accident and this is an accidental car. Now what will happen? Now will he purchase in 2 lakhs? No, he will not. He will say, no, 2 lakhs is very high. Let's go with maybe 1 lakh, not more than that. So one more feature I am adding, which is what? Whether the car is accidental or not accidental. Right? I'm saying accidental. So obviously my car price reduced. So that is also one more feature which is impacting my car price. Right? Same way, okay, after we decided, okay, let's go with 1 lakh. Now I say that my son's age is 7 years. Will it going to impact my car price? Will he say, "Oh, your son age is 7 years. Let me increase your car price. I will purchase in 1.5 lakhs, or I will purchase in 50,000 because your son age is 5 years, 7 years." No, right? My son's age is not impacting my car price at all. That means this variable is not important for me. As and when I'll add, let's say my mileage is very less, my what do you say, car is automatic or manual. These are the features. As and when I'll keep adding in my car, my automatically price will increase or decrease. Suppose I'm saying my car is automatic and he's looking for automatic, so I may try to increase the price, right? So that is what we are going to do using machine. If I have a data, let's say what I'm doing is now in my locality there are various people who sold their car, right? They sold their car with, let's say the car is a 5-year-old car, 6-year-old car, 2-year-old car, 7-year-old car, 10-year-old car. These are the years, how many years old car is, whether the car is accidental or not accidental. Let's say accidental, not accidental, not accidental, accidental, accidental car. Whether the car is automatic or manual. Let's say car is manual, manual, automatic, manual, automatic. Let's say mileage. Mileage is, let's say 18 liters, 18 kilometers per liter, then 20, 15, 12, 5. And based on that, these guys sold their cars. Let's say this car sold in 3.5 lakhs. This car sold in 2.5 lakhs. This car sold in, let's say 2.5 lakhs. Or let me change this number so that it will logically make some sense. So let's say this car I sold it in 1 lakh. This car I sold it in 3 lakhs. This car I sold it in 3.5 lakhs. This car I sold it in 1.5 lakhs. And this, or let's say 75,000, 0.75. And this car I sold it in 0.25, 25,000. Now from here I am understanding the data that, okay, again, consider that we are machine, we are learning, right? So we are trying to understand, okay, that when the car is an accidental car, my car price is reducing drastically. When the car is automatic, I see a good amount I am getting. When the car mileage is good, then also I see a good price. So I can clearly see from here is that this variable is decreasing my car price. This variable is, if automatic, increasing my car price. If the mileage is high, increasing my car price, right? And years also, I forgot to consider year. Let's say year is also, maybe year is more, it is decreasing the price, for example. So basically this is my X1 feature, this is my X2 feature, this is my X3 feature, this is my X4 feature, and based on these 4 features, I am predicting my Y. Okay. So now from here, I see that when year is increasing, my car price is decreasing. So if I try to create a plot, because see, again, when we are solving this problem, we have to create lot many charts, try to understand how the data is, right? So let's say this is my years and this is my price. As in when my year is increasing, my car price is decreasing. That is the negative relation, right? It's a negative relation. If I say mileage, as and when the mileage is increasing, my car price is increasing, right? So from here, I am understanding that this is impacting negatively, this is impacting positively. and I have to come up with an equation. Let's say as of now I am just considering year and miles, nothing else. Rest all I am not considering as of now. Let's assume that only miles and year I am considering. So I have two features, which is x1 and x4. So basically I as a machine will try to come up with a best equation which is going to predict my price, how much price I can sell the car, at how much price basically. So my equation will be y predicted is equal to m1x1 plus m4x4 plus c. This is the equation of a line which I am getting, or I can say equation of a plane, because it's a 3-dimension data. I have y-axis, which is price. I have x1, which is years, and I have x2, which is mileage. And I am trying to come up with an equation of a plane, which is passing from majority of the points. My ultimate aim is that, suppose I have a data like this. My ultimate aim is that, consider that it's a 2D data. My aim is that basically I want to come up with a line which is passing from the maximum number of points. If suppose I am creating this line, now this line is not passing from the maximum number of points. Basically, this is the training data on which my model is getting trained. If you are creating a model like this, my prediction will be very wrong, right? If let's say my years of car is, or let's say my mileage of car is 5 kilometer per liter. So basically the actual value is this. This is what the car price should be. But you are saying that with this model, this other line model, you can see that the car price should be this much. It's a big gap, right? From the original to the actual. This is the actual data which I am already aware of. This is the data which I am already aware of, because this is the training data. Right? So I am already aware of the answers. But the line which you are creating, it is giving me a very big gap between the original and the predicted. But if I take this line is very near, right? There is very less error. Here the error is very less, but here the error is very high. So I need to find the best line which is passing from the maximum number of points. That is what my task is at the end. So this technique which we are talking about is known as regression. So basically, if I want to define the regression is nothing but I have a data set Dn which consists of xi and yi, where xi belongs to real valued number and yi also belongs to real valued number. Yi will be only one column. Xi can be any number of columns. So xi belongs to real valued number, yi belongs to real valued number, and I want to predict. This is what my regression is. Basically, this is my input, or I can say my independent variable, like mileage, year, automatic, manual, and so on. Independent variable. This is my dependent variable. Based on these features, x1, x2, x3, x4, I want to predict y. And my y will be real valued number. That is important. Suppose I want to predict car price. I want to predict house price. I want to predict how much profit I will make. I want to predict what will be the salary of the employee, and so on. So these are the feature, these are the yi's which I want to predict, and all are real valued. My car price cannot be either 0 or 1. It can be 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 40,000, like that. 0, 1 is like a discrete data, either 0 or 1. No, it has certain value, real value. House price also has some real value, 50 lakhs, 14 lakhs, whatever. Profit has some value, real number value. Salary has, no one will give you salary as 0 or 1. They will give you salary as 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, whatever dollars. That will be the salary. So when I want to predict the real valued number, which is yi, using my various features, x1, x2, which are nothing but age, mileage, and whatever, then that type of problem statement is known as regression. Right? That problem is known as regression. And for finding the regression, it is very important that we should able to understand which variables are important for me. For example, let's say I want to predict the salary of my new employee. For example, let's say I'm creating one HR solution, right? I'm creating one HR solution where, if let's say this is my company, in my company there are various employees available who are working, right? What I did is I took the employee data from my existing employees and I came up with one equation: y is equal to m1x1 plus c, where y is nothing but my salary, x is nothing but my experience, m and c I will talk about in some time, right? So I get this. Now what will happen? There is a new employee joining my company. Now I want to offer him some salary so that he can join my company. So I already have this equation which is already created with my existing employee. I will take his experience and I will put that in the equation. I know my M1, I know my X1, I know my C now also. I will calculate this output. Whatever the output is the predicted salary that I will give this much of salary to this employee. If his salary is same as this, he will not join. If his salary is very high than this, he will not join. If his salary is very low than this, he will join. So basically here HR will get a chance to negotiate. For example, this guy's salary is 5,000 per month. I know that this guy, with the knowledge and all the experiences he has, he can deserve 25k per month. But his salary is 5k. So I, as an HR, get a chance. I know that this guy can be converted at the lower package also. That means if, let's say, I say him that, okay, please join in 7.5k. There are chances that he may convert. He may join my company. Let's say he negotiate. He says, no, 7.5 is very less. I want at least 10k. I know that I have that much of bandwidth, right? I am okay to go give him 10k. And still I am saving 15k of cost. So maybe he's saying 10k. Let me say, okay, let's do one thing. Not yours, mine. Let's go with 9k. See, at the end, this guy will stop negotiating, right? Till the time he actually don't know his actual value. So he may convert into 9k. So HR is actually saved 16k. Hiring the guy who is actually worth 25k. So these type of solutions help me to do the predictions and save the cost of the company. And that is the whole idea. That is the machine learning is all about. I have to create the processes which will help my reducing the cost, come up with the insights, come up with the answers. This is one of the types of use cases. Now there are various aspects to it. There are various mathematical calculations to it. I will quickly talk about some of the calculations, and I'll quickly show you a bit of Python code also. So as I mentioned you guys that yes, I want to predict the salary based on the experience. Let's say this is my data. I clearly see that when the experience is increasing, the salary is also increasing. That means this variable is important for me to predict the salary. Because see, in the real-time data set, you will not get only one column. You may have experience, location, education, past companies, age, son's age, daughter's age, wife's age, lot many information you will get. Will I take all columns? No. I will take those columns in the prediction which are important for me. So that analysis we have to make in the exploratory data analysis. That is what I need to understand, that which all variables are important to me. I see there is a good relation between the experience and the salary. It's an important variable. Let's say salary and son's age. Now it is very much scattered. It's not making any sense, right? Is the son's age increasing, my salary increasing? No, it's very much scattered. It's not making any sense to me. That variable is of no use. So let's say I have only these two variables, and I can say experience is the best variable to predict the salary. Son's age is not. So let's ignore that variable. So by seeing the plot, we can understand. But sometimes there are chances that I may have some outliers and very difficult for me to understand whether that variable is important for me or not. For example, let's say I'll show you one quick this thing code. I'll quickly show one code. Now here you can see that I have a data which is the salary data, which consists of years of experience and salary. And in this data, I want to come up with a data science model or machine learning model which can help me to do the prediction for the future employees. If future employee comes in with the 5 years of experience, how much salary I can offer him? As per this data, approximately 60,000 something. So I'm creating, you can see, I will do some exploratory data analysis. I can see that, okay, my experience is increasing, my salary is increasing. The variable is important for me, right? Let me take one more example where I have more number of variables. Here I want to predict the profit based on the R&D spend, based on the administration spend, based on the marketing spend, and based on the state. Let's say I'll create some visualization out here. Here you can see some visuals coming in. Okay. Now from this visualization, you can clearly see that R&D spend and profit, there is a good relation. When R&D spend is increasing, my profit is also increasing. Perfect. This is looking amazing. This variable is very important for me. What about this? Administration spend and profit. This is very much scattered. Right? This is very much scattered. Now what to do? This variable is not important. What about marketing spend? Now this is a dicey case because see, this is a linear, but there are some outliers. Right? The data is linear, but there are some outliers. So shall I go with this? or shall I ignore this? So for that, there is one mathematical formula also which can be used, which is known as Karl Pearson correlation coefficient, right? I will check here what is the relation. The basically Karl Pearson correlation coefficient vary from -1 to +1. For this guy, the Karl Pearson value will be very high, more towards +1. For this guy, it is more towards 0 because there is no relation, no positive, no negative relation. Here you may see that I have relation with maybe 0.7 or 0.6 or maybe 0.5 because there are outliers, right? So either I can, business says that no, it's okay if I remove this particular variable, I am okay with that. I can remove it. Or if business says no, it's important variable for me, do something. Then we can go and remove these outliers. These data points I can remove, right? If I remove these data points, then it's very much linear. So there are various techniques which we can go for. Either we remove the outliers, either we ignore the column altogether, or we can transform the data. A lot of things can be done so that I can have the columns which are required. This is looking very much, not very much good in shape. But sometimes there are chances that business will say, no, this column is also important. You don't see any pattern out there, that is perfectly fine. I'm okay with that, but this column is very important for me. Please take this. Okay. So basically my Karl Pearson value varying from -1 to +1. +1 means if my X is increasing, my Y is also increasing. Which means that suppose my house price, right? Let's say I have to predict my house price based on my area of the house. If the area of the house is increasing, house price is increasing. So my Karl Pearson value will be positive. But let's say distance from the city. If the distance from the city is more, my house price will decreasing. So it's a negative. So my Karl Pearson will be negative. Okay, so that is the whole idea. I see some question here that, see, the salary thing which I gave example, that is purely based on the company. We are not going to the market there. Whatever my company standard is, see, I am giving salary to the company based on my budget. I will create a model on top of that. If there is a good guy, but my budget is not there, I will not hire him. So what is my budget? Based on that, I will go ahead. Maybe 5 years of data scientist person may get 20, 40, 50 lakhs, whatever. But my budget is only 10 lakhs. If you want to join, you can join, else that's okay. Right? So I will create the model on my data set, not I'll get the data from market. Because if I get the data from the industry market, then obviously people are getting in Google and other companies, they're getting a huge amount. I cannot go and use that, right? My population or my sample is my company. I want to go with my company understanding, my company standards. Okay, so this whole is on my company. I will create the model. Okay, so now once we are done with, let me go and open this. Let's talk about some more mathematics. Okay, I'll quickly talk about here. I told you that we have to create the equation of a line. Now question arises, Karl Pearson correlation coefficient is helping me to understand how much the data is correlated. If X is increasing, Y is increasing, that X is important to me. If X is decreasing, Y is decreasing, X is important to me. But if X is increasing, Y is not, there is no relation, or basically X is scattered, Y is scattered, that variable is of no use. right? So purpose of KP coefficient is basically to understand whether the variables are important for me or not, which obviously we can get from the visualization, but some of the scenarios where you will not able to justify or where you will not able to understand from visualization as well, Carl Pearson will help you. Now here we have this data set. I have the experience, I have the salary, I have the average salary. Basically, see, I have this data set. One logical question. If I am not able to find this best fit line, what is the worst line I can have? My worst line will be what? The average line. Because see, if I start tilting my line anywhere, it will start passing from the points, right? The worst I can have is the average line. That is the maximum error I can get from the average line. So basically, I am having the experience, I am having the salary, I have taken the average salary, which is gonna give me the maximum error. I will subtract my actual salary with the average salary, and this is my difference. When you sum up that, it will be 0. That's why I have to square it, which is known as sum of squared total. So total error which I am getting, which is the maximum error, is this much. After that, I will find the equation of a line, which is going to pass from this. This is my data set, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10,000, 13,000, 14,500. You can see that my data is almost linear. My task is to find the best fit line, and that line is nothing but this line, right? Now how we got this line? If you guys remember, in our school days, we studied about the slope of a line, because see, this is the slope of a line, right? When there is a 1 unit x change is happening, how much change in y is happening? That is nothing but this m. M is nothing but slope of a line. So slope of a line is nothing but y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. That is the slope of a line. Based on this, I will calculate the slope, which is this. Or we can take this equation like this also. Y2 minus y1 into x2 minus x1 upon x2 minus x1 whole square. One and the same thing, because if I cancel out, one and the same thing. So I have this slope of a line. When you calculate this, right, you will take all this data set, you will have the, now here I will compare it with average. Y2 minus y average, same way y1 minus y average, and y3 minus y average. I'll do the sum of all. I'll use that in the equation. So if you do mathematical calculations out here, you will get the slope as 2250. My intercept is nothing but when my x is equal to 0, what is the value of y? This one. When my x is equal to 0, what is the value of y? That is my intercept, which also we can calculate, because my y average is equal to mx average plus c. I have my x average with me, 3. I have my y average with me, 12500. I will get my m also. I'll pass all the values. I'll get the c also, which is nothing but 5750. Now what I will do is I will pass these experiences in this equation. I'll get some value, and these values are my predicted output. And now I will subtract my predicted output with the actual salary. Whatever the difference is, I will do the square of that. And that square is known as sum of squared error, which you are getting from the model. This equation is nothing but my model. You will say that, okay, this is very simple. Why we are using machine learning? Because here it is only one dimension. I have to predict my salary based on the experience. What if I have 100 dimensions? All this mathematical calculations would be tough for us to make. So now I got this error. I will take the square of that. You will get these values. I will sum up that. That is my maximum error I am getting from the model. Sum of squared error. And this is the maximum error you can have. Not more than that. The maximum error. This is the error coming from the model. This is the error coming from, like, overall error I can have. Maximum error I can have. There is a concept of R square, which is known as coefficient of determination. So the formula of R square is nothing but 1 minus SSE by SST, where SSE is 375000 and SST is 10500000. So when I solve it, I'll get 0.96. Now again, think logically. Let's say this error and this error both are same. That means, can I say I'm getting the maximum error? If I'm getting the maximum error, this value and this value are same. If this value and this value are same, that means 1 minus 1 is happening. 1 minus 1 is what? 0. So my worst model will be when R square is equal to 0. And what is my best model? When there is no error at all. There is zero error. If there is a zero error, this numerator will become 0. Denominator has this value. 0 upon something is 0. That means R square is what? 1. So my R square value is varying from 0 to 1. More towards 1, better the model is. More towards 0, worst the model is. And that is what is the idea. That is what the idea is. Right? So basically from here, I'll summarize what we have discussed. Is that when I want to predict a variable, where that variable is a real valued variable, like salary or maybe car price or maybe house price or maybe revenue or maybe how many YouTube likes, all those. These are my real valued number. Now, based on that, like this is what I want to predict based on various features x1, x2, x3, where x1 can be, for example, salary, experience, age, and whatnot. I will create an equation which is y is equal to mx plus c. Right? And then I will check what is the accuracy I am getting, R square. If R square is more towards 1, that means this model is doing good. I can use this, deploy that in the production. You can use that. If R square is less, then this model is not good. Then we have to analyze again. R square is coming less. The reason is because the data is very much scattered and you are creating the model based on the scattered data. The very first assumption which we have in the linear regression is that my data should be linear. If the data is not linear, your R square will gonna be less. Maybe some of the irrelevant variables you are adding that in the model. Right? So in that case, I have to remove those. But still, after removing those also, R square will be less. That means the data is actually not linear. Maybe let's say I have my x and y, where x and y, where this is the best, which is very much linear. So if I take only this variable, my R square will be high. But suppose I have some variable like this, or let me take this example only. This one, right? if I take this variable only, my R square will be the best. But if I take this variable, my R square value will be less. So this variable is not important. If I take this variable, my R square value will be less, but not very less, and not very high also. Maybe it is 0.5 or something. So this variable I need to check with the business whether this is fine or not. Right? So if your R square is coming low, you have to analyze the data again. You have to check what is the problem. I see there is a linearity. Maybe I can remove the outliers so that this can be further linear. Then my R square value will increase because I'm removing the unnecessary data set which is impacting my model. And as I mentioned that in the real time, there are chances that my R square is decreasing because of this variable, but business is saying that this variable is important, please add it. In that case, there is no option, we have to add it. I will compromise on my R square. Business is okay with that. Right? So here we go. Now if I see the code here, now this is multiple linear regression only. So here I am just passing my entire x. If you see here, this is my x. This is my x train, where I am taking all the columns. You can see here. This is my x, where I am taking all the columns. Profit, R&D spend, marketing spend, and administration spend. And I am putting that as an input in the model. That means all the variables are inputted. And then we are creating the model. Right? But the calculation which we have discussed is for the simple linear regression where I took only one variable, because that is only we can able to understand. When we have multiple dimension, my calculation will be tough. And that is why we need a machine for solving that problem. But the idea will remain the same, what we discussed with the simple linear regression. Okay. So this is the whole idea. Again, in 1 hour, we can cover only this much, but this is a big subject, right? We can cover a lot of things in this. What is adjusted R square value? What is the F statistic? A lot of mathematics actually going behind that. But with the time constraint, we will stop here. But I hope this is giving you a good idea at how this can be used in a real-time world. Right? But again, a lot of maths gonna be there at the back end. So here I stop. I hope you got something good from here. Any questions you can ask? Why only equation of line? Why not pattern? That depends again. Equation of a line will always be in a single degree. If you are making it x square, it will be parabola. So if your data is like parabola, then you can go for it. No one is stopping you. If your data is like this, you can apply x square. But if your data is linear, will it make sense applying x square? No, right? So that depends on the data. This type of x square relation is known as polynomial regression. So that depends. If the data is behaving like a polynomial, then we can go for it. But when the data is linear, then it will be power of 1 only. What if coefficient are negative? That's perfectly fine. Very much possible. Again, suppose I have my area of the house and house price. My area is increasing, my house price is increasing. Here the coefficient will be positive also, because when something is increasing, other thing is increasing. Suppose I have a negative, for example, distance from the city and house price. It is decreasing, right? So my coefficient will be negative also. So my equation will be house price is equal to M1, or let's say I'll give some coefficient, random coefficient. Let's say 30 plus into area minus 25 into distance. Very much possible. Here it is saying that your house price is 30 times gonna be positive increment in your price because of the area, but at the same time, if the distance is far, 25%, 25 units, it's gonna decrease also. So if your distance is 0, there is no impact on the price. If your distance is very high, this is gonna be increasing. Getting it? How can we contain this? How to judge the data from? We have to use this algo. Again, from the data analysis. EDA is the important step which can help us understand which of the step we can go for. How can we simultaneously running model if program ends, training data is lost? We have a concept of pickle file in Python. We can create the pickle file and we can store the entire model in that pickle file, and that we can use again and again. Although R square close to 1 would it perfect, what is the minimum expected? Again, in industry standard, anything more than 60% is considered as good, because in real time scenario, there are chances that my data is not very much linear. Good possibility. So in that case, 60, 65 is looking good. Pickle file, pickle, Pickle. There is a good book. Yes, there is very nice book for understanding all these concepts. Maybe I can share this with the support team. The book name is Business Analytics. Dinesh Kumar. This is one of the nice books you can go for. This one. So this book actually giving us very good insights. Indian author, nicely explained by this guy. Pickle file is basically nothing but a file where I'm able to store the model. Whatever, see again, machine is learning, right? I am passing the data, machine is learning. That learned part I need to store somewhere. And that is what we can store in pickle file. This is the link. I'll send it to everyone. How to do multiple regression? Again, I already mentioned that. You have this Python code where you can pass all the data as X. So basically these 3 columns I am passing as X. That is my multiple. What is multiple linear regression? When I have multiple X's. So this 3 columns I am passing as an input and predicting the Y. So in my model, I will just pass X, which consists of all these columns. That is what we are passing in the model. And that is my multiple linear regression. All right, anything else? So we'll see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to talk about another algorithm on classification. We'll understand that. And day after we will have clustering, which is also one of the interesting use case. Till then, stay safe and take care, guys.